What's going on, people? My name is Antoine, this is ATM Tech, and welcome to the channel. So after months and months of leaks, the Z Fold 3 is finally here, and it's fair to say 99% of those leaks are right on the money. Now, I have been fortunate enough to get my hands on a Z Fold 3, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing my first impressions with you. So first things first, the design and the form factor is pretty much the same as last year's model, the Z Fold 2. They have maintained the same screen sizes and the overall look and feel of the previous model. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think with the Z Fold 2, they nailed the design in most areas. And I think it's fair to think of the Z Fold 3 as a tweak rather than a large overhaul. Now that might be a little bit disappointing for any existing Z Fold 2 users who are thinking of upgrading to the Z Fold 3, because you put the two phones next to each other on a table, you probably struggle to tell the difference between the two. But for anyone who had the original Fold, or for someone who's looking at a Fold for the first time, I think the design's great. Now let's talk what's new. So the previous mod had an inner display that was 7.6 inch and crucially 120Hz refresh rate, whilst the outer screen was just a regular 60Hz display. So Samsung have gone ahead and added 120Hz to the outer display of the Z Fold 3. This is great, and it really adds to the usability of the phone because you're getting a similar experience regardless which display you're using. With the Z Fold 2, when you switch from the inner display to the outer display, you were getting different refresh rates, which could be quite jarring at times. And the refresh rate on both displays is adaptive, so that helps a lot with battery drain. While I remember, I'll quickly run through the boring stuff. So the Z Fold 3 has a Snapdragon 888 processor, and the model I have comes with 256GB of storage and 12GB of RAM. I'm sure there will be different variations in different parts of the world, but I'm just going on with the model that I have in the UK. So one of the more interesting things about the Z Fold 3 is the fact that the inner display does house an under display camera. There's some interesting science behind it, but I think the idea is that some of the pixels around where the camera is are translucent, or there are less pixels, but just enough to let the camera do its thing basically. Having an under display camera in theory gives you more screen real estate and less distractions. However, in practice, I don't think we're quite there yet. Now I am going to go into more detail around this when I do my full review, so hit subscribe if you want to see that. The area where the camera is hidden is quite obvious. It's different from a hole punch, but in my personal opinion, I don't think it's any better or any worse. I've never had an issue with hole punches because after a while you do tend to stop noticing they're there. And it is the same case with the under display camera. You can see it, but after a while you don't notice it. But at this point, I'm not sure if it's a better implementation. It feels like more of an experiment at this point. But I take my hat off to Samsung for once again trying something new. Something else new about the Z Fold 3 is the fact that it finally has S Pen support. So of course I was quite eager to try this out, so the first thing I did was take the S Pen from my Note 20 Ultra and try to write something on the Fold, but straight away it threw up an error message. So I thought, right, okay, so I grabbed the S Pen from my Tab S7 Plus, got the same error message. So Samsung did say they would have an S Pen especially designed for the Z Fold 3 with a bit of a rounder nib to create less friction on the display, which makes sense because the screen on folding displays is a bit softer and a regular S Pen is quite sharp, so you do risk potentially damaging your phone. But what I wasn't expecting was for Samsung to have built-in software to prevent you from using any other S Pen. So I think that's good implementation from Samsung, making sure you don't damage your phone. But at the same time, it was a bit frustrating not being able to use any other S Pen. And if you do really want to use the S Pen on the Z Fold 3, then you are forced to buy a new S Pen. And for someone like me who does have multiple S Pens around the house, it is a little bit annoying. So the last little party trick Samsung added to the Z Fold 3 is water resistance. Now for most phones, water resistance isn't a big deal at all. We've had it in our phones for 7-8 years now, but it's interesting and quite impressive that they've managed to add it to a device that has moving parts. Water resistance is something that I really hoped for in a folding device from Samsung, but isn't something that I thought would come anytime soon. The Z Fold 3 has an IPX rating, which means it's rated to go underwater up to a meter for up to 30 minutes. Crucially though, this means it doesn't have a dust rating, so it's fine near water, but just keep it away from the beach. Now I have zero intention of submerging this phone underwater, but it does give me some peace of mind that if it rains or if I get a splash on the phone, it's going to be okay. Now it's crucial for me to point out that these are just my first impressions. I am going to spend a bit more time with the phone and come out with a full review. So if you do want to see more of the Z Fold 3, then subscribe and stick around for more good stuff. But for the time being, if you want to go ahead and click that like button, that helps me out a lot. But that being said, my name is Antoine, this is ATM Tech, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.